Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Jesus 2000, who is going to be the Mythic Trial reward for the brand new Allegiance Skybound X2. Now visually you can see on your screen right now the normal version of the character. I am going to be previewing the first edition version of the character, which you can only acquire during the actual Mythic Trial itself. After the Mythic Trial ends, if there ever is an opportunity to pick up Jesus 2000 again, it will be this version that you see on the screen. The only difference between the two versions is visual, but it is exclusively available as a first edition during the event, and we're going to go preview that version. And here is the first edition version of Jesus 2000, as you can see underneath his name at the top, Mythic Trials First Edition. Visually, I like this version quite a lot. On the previous Mythic Trials, I've said to myself, they're actually both pretty good. I'd like, potentially, one over the other. Sometimes I like the art of one. I think overall, I like Jesus 2000 art and his visuals on the right-hand side much more than the normal edition. So I'm pretty happy here. You can see he's got like the faded weapons as well. Any CSGO players out there know like the blades with the fade. It looks really cool. We can see on the left-hand side, it looks like he's in trouble. I think he's going to be fine. Melee Master is Jesus. He's got some big blades right now, so he's absolutely fine here. If we look at his maxed out Limit Break 3 stats at level 1,440, he has got 22,020 attack, 28,311 defense, and 28,311 HP. He is a fast character, of course, holding those blades. He is a tank role character, of course a gold mythic, and he will be a member of the Skybound X2 Allegiance, but not just any member, like I say, he is the Mythic Trial reward. Now we're going to go across and look at his Adrenaline Rush, and you can see it's called Ready for Battle. It's a 66 AP cost rush. 2 enemies get crosshairs for 2 turns. Heal this character for 100% of their max HP. This character gets 50% bonus HP. So the way this obviously is going to work is the crosshairs means that anyone who gets those crosshairs and then gets taken down in any sort of way, not just by Jesus, by anyone on a team, they'll be decapped. No way of reviving them. They are down for the count. And then the last bit is massive self-sustain, which is obviously really devastating depending on other parts of his kit. And you can see a very important part of his kit right now in the bottom right-hand corner. Keeping this guy at high HP numbers and bonus HP numbers is going to make him much more powerful, much more problematic to deal with, as you know with someone like Peacekeeper. So, obviously having the stats just get boosted is a good thing. The rush is a little bit slow though, and this character is going to be more of a defense team character, but there might be other parts of his kit that are going to help him gain AP in other ways. We'll check that out in a bit, but let's check out the rush and just basically how it works. Now we also get to see how large he is on the battlefield, and you can see he is a pretty big dude in that like kind of mech suit. What we'll do now is we'll rush. If you use him on an attack team, which is not likely to happen, it would be the character you select +1 RNG target. I'm going to select the target down the bottom. You can see actually both the medics got hit with this. Now this is kind of, obviously interesting because certain classes and certain specialists, for instance, this one right here, would be able to halo back. But if I take this character out with someone else, you can see that he is decapped. And that's obviously how it's going to work when he's on an attack team or a defense team. So if you have got like some offensive capability on your defense team, takedowns in those turns, maybe like infection or something like that, those are going to be decapped. Even things like Halo, which is on Shane right now, would not actually help you because obviously it's going to block your potential of being picked back up. Now if we look at the upgrades on the Adrenaline Rush, pretty basic. At grade 3 you can see the AP cost gets reduced to 66, so initially it is actually quite high, 75. At grade 5 the upgrade comes in that this character gets 50% of bonus HP when they actually rush, which we didn't see in that like clip there, but obviously he did get 50% of the bonus HP. Also didn't see much healing because he didn't get attacked, but basically if he's at 1% HP when he uses the rush, he'd be at 100% HP plus 50% bonus HP. So his recovery is nuts. You've got to be very careful in terms of controlling this rush, or he's going to be absolutely devastating. LB2 upgrade, heal this character for 100% of their max HP. So initially it is actually just 2 enemies get crosshairs for 2 turns. So it's pretty limited on the Adrenaline Rush when it first starts out. But otherwise, I think when it gets fully maxed out, it's not too bad once it goes off. Now do remember that defense team characters, generally speaking, the Adrenaline Rush is not where the power is. This is more like a bonus. If they get this off, it's nice. But it isn't really the relied upon part of their kit. And like I say, it is nice. Crosshairs on enemies, if they're taken out, decapped, is nice. A heal for this character is nice. Bonus HP is nice. But this isn't like massive. Let's see what else Jesus 2000 has in his kit, which makes him massive. And one of the first things we're going to look at is the signature move, and it is called Deadly Dichotomy. Initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. 3 teammates recover from a single penalty. Deal 200% damage to an enemy, as in a single enemy. Taunt 2 random damage roll enemies for 2 turns. So I'll break this down. The cleanse is nice. A single, penalty removal is nice. This can be a control. For instance, if stuns on 3 teammates and that's the only control they've got, it will actually just make them actually be able to take their turn, which is nice. Especially off of turn 1. There are quite a lot of controllers on turn 1 that can be used, and Jesus 2000 is going to be, useful here. Dealing 200% damage to a single enemy is nice. It's just going to do a little bit of damage, but isn't going to be able to crit. It isn't also going to be able to proc weapons, so there's not going to be any sort of cheese where someone could use like a stun on defense weapon and somehow control him. It is also worth noting that the dealing damage part here does not tie into the last part. It doesn't necessarily have to be a damage roll character that he attacks. It will still taunt 2 random damage roll enemies for 2 turns, and this is going to obviously punish you with your damage roll characters being forced to attack him and obviously attack his specialist skill, which is obviously what that's going to be the most problematic part of it. Damage roll characters are generally going to do more damage and they're going to be able to take less, so they're going to be in a pretty problematic situation here. This is also going to make up a little bit for the slightly more expensive Adrenaline Rush in terms of AP cost. He gets 5 AP bonus guaranteed every time he's attacked by a taunted enemy. So over 2 turns, he would theoretically be able to get 20 AP extra. So I figured the best way to show you this would be Jesus on a defense team by himself. Now we have got 3 damage roll characters here, Brutus, Shane, and Duck. So 2 of these will randomly get taunted when I defend with Vance. As you can see, it's going to be the 2 strong characters as well. And the hits are going to come in, and you can see certain things happening. The higher his HP stat gets, the bigger that sort of reflect will be. You saw his signature come out as well in terms of where it focused. It did damage against someone who's tough. It's generally going to be the case. And because he got those 2 hits off on him and the HP that he lost, you can see that he got enough AP to get a second turn natural rush. So this is the sort of thing that can actually happen. And that is pretty decent in terms of how much AP gain he got there. It's obviously going to be based on HP he loses, but the AP he gains from those taunted attacks are guaranteed. I think the only way around not giving him AP would be if the character attacking while taunted had elusive. I actually haven't tested that out. I might have to test that out. If we look at the upgrades here, you can see at grade 2 it gets -1 to cooldown, so it goes from a 3-turn cooldown down to a 2-turn cooldown. At grade 4 it gets an upgrade where it deals 200% damage to the target. So initially it doesn't do any damage, and that's going to be upgraded. At grade Limit Break 1, it also gets an upgrade where it taunts 2 random damage roll enemies for 2 turns, and that's going to be an addition. So initially it's just a cleanse by the looks of things. And lastly, at Limit Break 3, it gets -1 starting cooldown. So it goes from a 2-turn starting cooldown down to a 1-turn. I'd say this is actually pretty important if you want to get the best out of Jesus in terms of how fast he can get that rush off. The rush isn't that important though. As we saw, it's nice, but this is the most important thing. I'd say LB1 for just the overall power of this signature move is the important thing. But if you have him at LB3, you're going to get this off earlier. Earlier control is nice. Earlier cleanses are nice, especially against early control. It's going to be much more beneficial for your defense team having this character get this off turn 1. Obviously, more stats as well. LB3 seems to be pretty important. So overall, I think this signature move is really good. The fact that it does bits and pieces is like a semi-support character in here. The damage isn't going to be much to speak of. I kind of just see this maybe as just removing a Guardian Shield or something, because if someone does try and use East Eve on the same team, he might go for her because she's tough. It will hit the Guardian Shield, but at least it removes it for someone else to do something afterwards. There can be a situation where it's actually pretty decent there. The taunt obviously is the big thing, and the fact that he can get enough AP to potentially rush naturally turn 2, very, very, very problematic there. So we'll come across now and look at Jesus 2000's mythic abilities. These are his passive skills, of course, and because he's a tank, he gets strength, which is 40% critical hit resistance, which is obviously decent. Going to reduce those chances of even being hit by a crit. Next up is Malware. While battling on a defense team, At the start of each turn, 100% chance a single enemy has all positive effects removed. This is actually quite nice. Can remove pretty important things like Halo. It can remove camouflage. It can remove attack bonuses, heal over time. This is actually pretty nice. I like this quite a lot. The next one is Absolute Unit. When being attacked while having a debilitating effect, 100% chance this character gets 75% defense against the attack. This is actually pretty, dangerous, because if you do try and control him in any way, he's going to get extra defense, and that includes normalize. So if you normalize him, he's going to get 75% defense bonus against attacks. That is actually pretty problematic. It makes him much more tankier to deal with, and because it's on a passive, you can't steal it away, I think. We'll see how this works when it comes to being applied to him. Next up is Repair Reaction. When an enemy heals, this character gets 30% bonus HP. This is problematic too, because I know some people like to use William on attack, or passive healers like Carol, and Carol just does do heals. So, on her passive, she has if she does an attack, she has a percentage chance to heal her team, which will be a guaranteed 30% bonus HP heal for Jesus. Not ideally the kind of heal you want your team to be actually doing. Okay, so here we are off of turn 1, and we're just going to have Jesus on the defense team alone again. So he's going to get heavy focused here. Generally speaking, if you heavy focus one defense team character, it does free up the other defense team characters to have a bit more freedom to do stuff. So imagine he's in a team with other problematic characters. Would you necessarily go all in on the focus on him? Maybe, but if there's a Sebastian in the same team, you're going to have to deal with him in a way as well. So you're not necessarily going to be able to do what I'm about to do. He could also have lots of bonus HP off of turn 1 if he's comboed with the right characters. There is going to be problems for sure. We're going to use the signature move though. We're going to normalize him. But you can see the 75% defense bonus comes in straight away. We didn't even scratch him. He's got no HP lost. Brutus comes in, basic attack. He's going to do pretty decent damage, to be fair. But that's Brutus with massive attack bonuses from Scotsman. And it's only 8k. It's only 8k. He's getting a 50% defense bonus from other parts of his kit, which we will look at in a moment, plus the actual 75% defense on top. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for sure. And like I say, if you're focusing him too much with this character, then you're obviously ignoring other characters. This is without any real big upgrades on his kit as well. So for instance, when he gets defense versus strong, and when he gets bigger HP bonuses, leader bonuses, there's no leader bonus here. I've got the leader bonus on my attack team. I don't think you're going to be able to straight up focus this character off of turn 1 as easily for sure. And don't forget, he is fast as well, which means you could potentially use an absolute defense weapon if you wanted. Now, if we look at the upgrades here, you can see he gets the first half of Malware at grade 1, and that's 50% chance a single enemy has all positive effects removed. We didn't see that in action too much, but that's how it would happen, and it would happen at the start of each turn as well, so it's very effective long term. At grade 2, he gets the first half of Strength, critical hit resistance 20%. At grade 3, he gets the second half of Malware, and it'll be 100% chance that a single enemy gets all positive effects removed. This is obviously going to be great. You're going to get that quite early on the upgrades. At grade 4, he gets the first half of Debilitating Unit, and that is going to be 50% chance this character gets 75% defense against attacks while he has one single debilitating status effect. At grade 5, he gets the first half of Repair Reaction, and that is that he gets 15% bonus HP when an enemy heals. Then we'll move on to the Limit Break upgrades, and you can see at grade Limit Break 1, he gets the second half of Strength, making it 40% total critical hit resistance. And at Limit Break 2, he gets the second half of Absolute Unit, and here 100% chance that he has a 75% defense bonus when he has that single debilitating effect. And at Limit Break 3, he gets Repair Reaction 2, making it 30% total bonus HP that he receives when any enemy obviously heals. And that can happen from anything. That can happen from a weapon proc, passive, rush, anything. I think it'll probably work from a revive too. When a character gets picked up and they revive with 25% of their max HP, that effectively is a heal. So it probably will actually give Jesus 2000 a bonus HP as well. So I think these passes are quite nice. They're going to reduce the potential of damage that he's going to take. He's going to increase his survivability with just kind of a random effect. The fact that, that the enemy team healing is going to increase his survivability is kind of cool. And of course, he is going to be able to just wipe buffs, which is nice because attack teams kind of can rely on certain buffs sometimes, particularly certain things. So for instance, if someone is confused or taunted by a weapon, or anything like this, and they do get focus, and there is a lot of focus around, he's going to be able to remove it. So unless it's reapplied in some way, they're going to be able to, they're going to be forced to taunt attack. They're going to be forced to be confused attacked. And that's useful to Jesus as well because he has got a first turn signature move that has a taunt. So that is beneficial. So overall, I like his passives, and I think he can be comboed quite nicely with characters that already exist, which is always a bonus. Now, the last thing in the main part of his kit is his specialist skill, and we know what it is. It's Vengeance. It is going to be the same one as Peacekeeper. This means it's Bide and Payback combined into a dual specialist. Very powerful indeed. Now, compared to Peacekeeper, this character can get normalized, but he does have parts of his kit in his passives that is going to give him bonuses to actually survivability if that happens. But he also has other parts of his kit we will get into, which has a chance to make it so that that normalize can just go away. We will check that out in a second. But Vengeance is a very powerful specialist skill indeed. And I think that on a defense team it is problematic. And you have the potential to have both Vengeance characters in the same team if you so wish. You could have Tara lead and both Vengeance characters. And that would be severely problematic. Especially considering, how both of their kits work. One punishes you for normalizing him. One doesn't allow you to normalize him. One punishes you for healing. The other one punishes you for dying. Like, the combo between this character and, I'd say 3 or 4 other characters in the game right now is actually pretty exciting. Now, the part where that normalize can just go away is going to be on the weapon. It's Jesus 2000's first edition Energy Blades, and that's where you're going to get the fade in there. It's got 40% HP, 35% defense. In the third slot, it's got a brand new upgrade. I believe it's called Perfected Cleanse. Remove 1 negative effect from this character at the start of every turn. So one will just disappear. This could be anything, normalize, infection, anything that's going to be problematic. He could just cleanse it. This is going to be pretty good. It could also remove a negative effect like debilitating status effect. It's completely RNG. So if he's got 10, it's going to be a 10% chance to remove any one of them. If he's got 2, it's going to be a 50% chance that he's going to remove any particular one of them. So obviously, the more he's got, if you are attacking, the less chances you've got of removing the one that you really want him to keep on him. But again, if you're over-focusing him too much freedom for his teammates, you know how it goes there. The last one is Improved Stonewall. You could see this actually in action. This character gets 50% defense at the start of each wave for 2 turns. This character's defense cannot be reduced. This is obviously pretty good because Stonewall 1 is okay. The second half of it is nice. But the first half of this is the improved part where it's that he gets extra defense for the first couple of turns. This is going to make him just have early survivability until he gets rolling, until his teammates get that bonus HP and bonuses out for him to make him more powerful. The second half is going to be endless. It can't be disarmed, where he's never going to be able to have his defense reduced. This is actually pretty good because there are a couple of characters that have come in that have defense down. There's a couple of weapons out there. I think Shane has it on his leader skill, so if it hits Jesus, he's just going to absolutely ignore that. And defense down would be very problematic against him because that bonus in his passive where he gets extra defense, the defense down would actually counter that. But that can't be countered by, defense up or down. It's just going to be purely defense up for Jesus, making it so that he reduces incoming damage. Now, you could, of course, switch this out for a different weapon. If you see this and go, well, actually, I'm not really sure. I want to go for absolute defense. Just remember, if you go for absolute defense, it will stop that Vengeance from proccing because he has to take damage in that case. It's just something to note. It's also worth noting that that 4th slot is an off-trait special. You can't craft this on fast weapons. This is unique to Jesus. Fortunately, it starts off with a 5-star weapon and it is also pretty good already. So you would want to go with 3 HP upgrades, maybe a split upgrade or 3 defense upgrades. It's completely up to you. You're going to be able to get pretty decent stats on this character for sure. And because his defense cannot be reduced, it might be worth stacking it a little bit so that his Bide and his Payback proc a little bit more often, so he has lower HP, but he has massive defense, because there's no risk of someone just coming in with a defense down and cheesing him. It isn't going to be a problem. So that is Gold Mythic Jesus 2000, and he is the Mythic Trial reward for the Skybound X2 Allegiance, and I think he has got a pretty interesting kit. Standalone, I think he's pretty balanced. He has got obviously things to stop you from being able to do as much damage in certain situations, but comboed with certain characters is where he's going to be very problematic. It's about finding out what those combos could be to get the best out of this character. If he's kind of left alone a little bit too much, he will get rolling because of his signature move. his specialist skill and how some of his passives work, and you could get into a lot of trouble. Visually, obviously, it's absolutely kind of ridiculous, but I love it. Massive on the battlefield. We saw he's like twice the size of any character, and he's going to stand out on most defense teams anyway, just based on his kit, but his visuals, yeah, you're definitely not going to miss this guy. You could potentially try and like hide another character behind him. That's a kind of old school one. Have one big character and a smaller character behind him, but sometimes doesn't play off. You have to see if it works. But that's my first look at Jesus 2000, guys. If you have any thoughts or comments, please leave them down below. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.